welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. As promised in my previous videos, I'm going to be doing a smoked apple pie video for you. This recipe is near and dear to my heart. It's my mom's, I'm going to say, world famous apple pie. It's not world famous, we know that, but it should be. It's one of the best apple pies out there ever. Every year she used to make upwards of 18 apple pies to share with me and my siblings, even friends, neighbors maybe. They didn't last long, so where they went other than in my belly, I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed it if you got one. And today I'm gonna go with some Honey Crisp apples. I wouldn't recommend making this with a green apple, a Granny Smith. Not my favorite when it comes to apple pie. You want something not so tart, you want something more sweet and more juicy. This cut in the right way, and I'll show you the right way. It's more of a chunk, but will melt down with the rest of the ingredients during the cooking process and will create the best apple pie filling ever. So if you don't believe me, try making this the way I'm going to show you in this video and give it a shot. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Alright, so let's get to peeling. Got a nice little bowl here. We're going to fill it up. And then I'll get to showing you guys how to chunk out this apple pie. Alright, so that'll do it for our apples. I'm going to go ahead and get our pie crust out. I got my cast iron pan here, which we'll be making the pie in, and I'll show you guys how to create the filling for this. Alright, now that we got that mess out of the way, got our apples stacked here. Our pan has now been buttered or greased, and we're getting ready to put in our pie shell. I'm going with just store-bought pie shell here. You know, anything I've ever tried to make this has been just as good as that. So we're gonna go with it just because it's easy. So we'll roll it out. Got a nice circle. And we'll just lay it down on the bottom. Just like that. Okay. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to fit it to the side, just like that. We can create our wall. Then I'm going to cut it around the bottom. Beautiful. Alright, throw that off to the side. Again, I'm just trying to build up this pie wall. Alright, I think I can just tear what I need. Right down just like that. And we'll continue along. Again, I'm just trying to build up a nice wall all the way around. We want something to be able to attach the top of the pie crust to once we get our filling all put together in here. So I think this will do. Alright, so we got our pie crust nice and filled out in our cast iron pan here. Again, underneath it is a nice layer of butter to kind of keep that separated from that cast iron once we start cooking it. It'll also start to give it a little bit of a crisp because that heat is really going to bake that dough to that crisp. So, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with a little bit of flour on the bottom. There's no measuring here, guys, and I'm going to throw it out there now. This pie is not healthy in any way, shape, or form. This is a non-healthy pie, but it is the best pie in the world. And again, there's no measuring here. You're just kind of going by what I'm telling you. So I happen to have just enough flour left to do what I need to do to make this pie. And it's about 2 cups, and then we'll go through most of it. So what you want to do is just kind of give a nice liberal spreading of the flour on the bottom. And I'll give you a close-up of what that looks like. This is just a starter. All right. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of sugar, just regular white granulated cane sugar. No measurement here. We're going to do about the same amount of flour, the same amount of sugar on the bottom as we did the flour. So just kind of nicely spread it about, just like that. If I had to guess, that was probably a 1/4 cup of sugar. Here's the real kicker. We're going to go in with some cinnamon, just some nice ground cinnamon, all over the top of that. Beautiful. There's my word. All right, and again, we're going to be layering this. This is going to be done in layers. Next part, very important, you're going to go in with some really cold butter, because we're going to be chopping this into pieces and layering it along with the rest of our ingredients. Make sure we don't get any of that paper in the pie. Nobody wants paper in their apple pie. All right, we managed to get all the paper off. So what I like to do is just, since it's frozen, just kind of go right down the middle, just like that, create a nice little X, and then you start cutting, and just let it fall where it may. And this is all gonna melt, and the ingredients are all just kind of gonna blend together. You're probably asking, Zach, why aren't you mixing that all in a bowl? It's going to mix as it cooks, and it's going to be a great thing. Okay, so we're going to put our butter to the side here for a second. We'll spread this out nice and even. We got plenty of layers to go with this. Perfect. Okay, so next up, we're going to do what's called chunking. You don't want to slice the apple pie in even little slices. Doesn't cook correctly. I've tried it. It's not the same thing. So what you want is a paring knife, or the closest thing you can get to it. This is a steak knife, sort of in the shape of a paring knife. It's my favorite knife. It's serrated, but it works just the same. So you want to take your apple in one hand, your paring knife in the other, just like this, and you want to chunk the apple pie, or chunk the apples for the apple pie, just like that. You do not want even slices, you want chunks. That's going to make the difference when this cooks down. I'm not sure why. There's no rhyme or reason to it other than it just works. And they don't have to be uniform. They can be bigger, they can be smaller. Just cut until you don't have any more tasty apple left. All right. We don't want seeds, we don't want the centerpieces. We just want that beautiful apple meat right off the side, and we'll just keep chunking, and this will all pile up. So once you get the bottom nicely covered, you get maybe an inch or two, you're going to add another layer of the flour, another layer of the sugar and the cinnamon and butter, and just keep going until you have a big mound. And you'll see what I mean. We'll get there. So I'm going to get to chunking the rest of these apples. We'll show you the layers in between, and then we'll get to covering it up. So it doesn't take very long. I've got maybe about 15 or 16 apples here. That's about what you need to make a good pie. And look at that. Just chunk it. Just chunk it away. No slices. Just slice underneath, pull, and let the apple break on its own. You'll be amazed at how well that works. All right, it's a good stopping point. Again, we're going to move on with doing our layering. We're going to give another layer of flour, and we're just going to coat the apples all the way across. And go in with the sugar. We're going to go in with some butter here. And again, it's important that this butter be pretty much frozen. It'll help you through this point and keep it nice for cutting. It'll help you section it out and it's not melting all over the place. All right, let's see, I think I got another stick here. Takes about 2 sticks of butter per pie. Again, this is, I don't know if I said it or not, this is salted butter, so there's no need to add any additional salt to this recipe. There's plenty of salt left in the stick, put in the stick for this pie. Nice little cross. Perfect. Let's go in with that cinnamon. If you don't like cinnamon, you can certainly do this pie without it. Try to use something else that you do like, maybe nutmeg. I'm not sure, but I love cinnamon, so we'll go in with a little more. Very heavy cinnamon. All right, and then we'll get back to another layer of our apple chunking. Not me, not me. No, you're going in the pie, bud. All right. Oh, I love the smell of these Honeycrisp apples. And fun fact, the Honeycrisp apple was created by the University of Minnesota in the 1960s. They were trying to create an apple that was just as sweet as it was tart and also juicy. Let me tell you, for somebody who's had them straight off the farm from Minnesota, they are to me, the best apple. That's my opinion. Either that or Gala. Galas are really good, but Honeycrisp apples just really bring it. They do, especially for a pie. Highly recommend it. All right, that's a good stopping point for our next layer. Time to go in with our flour, with our sugar, and then with our butter. More cinnamon. All right, and we're going to finish up with the rest of our apples here. What we'll do is we'll finish up with the last few apples here, add another layer of flour and sugar, and then we'll go ahead and close this up with the rest of our pie crust. And I'll show you the secret on how to crimp the edges so you end up with a nice crispy edge to eat with your pie filling. All right, so we've got the rest of our apples lined up in here. We've got a nice mounded shape off, which is what we want. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more sugar to the top of this, sugar and cinnamon. Okay, look, this is the second warning. I know you're like, Zach, that's a whole lot of sugar. I know, this is a very unhealthy pie. Not claiming it to be healthy. That's why it's a once a year type thing. I don't recommend eating this on the regular. All right, so we got the rest of our pie. Let me get this cleaned up and we'll come back and finish putting the top on this. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, so we have made it to this point. Our pie is built, is layered. It's time to close this sucker up. Check this out. Oh my God, that weighs so much. That's probably 15 pounds if I had to guess. She had. There we go, there we go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start on this end, and I just wanna cover the top. Not too worried about the sides yet. Looking good, looking good. All right, so I got this side nicely covered. We'll be ready for our crimping in no time. So as big as this pie is, I knew that I was going to need a second one. So that's why I bought 4 in total. And it's not a problem at all. It'll all cook the same. So what we're going to do is we'll start turning it. As you can see, this side of the pie is nicely covered. And we just want to make our way around and cover the rest of it. Perfect. Again, you want to leave enough down at the bottom because I'm going to show you guys how to pinch and crimp the rest of it at the bottom. So when it bakes, you end up with a nice crispy crust, almost like the perfect pizza. And what you do is you break that off and you mix it around in the apple filling. So you get a little bit of that soft, gooey filling, and then you get that nice, crispy, thick crust, and it breaks up, and it just, oh, it's the best bite ever. Oh yeah, that's coming together nicely. Alright, so what we want to do is, now that we have it nice and sheeted over, you want to start kind of bunching it up on the side so that you make a sort of a thick layer, just like this. It's not going to look great at first, but you want to bunch it up. If you get thinner areas and you got a little bit left, just throw that right on top. It's all going to mold together. Perfect. Okay. So now that we have it bunched up, what you want to do is you want to take your 3 fingers, your thumb finger, I think this is your pointer finger, and your middle finger, and you just want to pinch like that and push. Pinch and push. You're creating a pinch all the way around. And what that'll do is it'll create a nice outer layer. So when it bakes, that will crisp up. And then when you eat your pie, perfect crust for biting. Okay, so now that we've got our pie all crimped up, looking pretty good, it's time to finish off the top. Top is pretty simple. You just want to make just a couple slits, almost like you're drawing a compass. Nothing special. You don't want any giant holes. Just enough to let a little steam out. Beautiful. So the next step to finishing this up before you put it into the oven, I don't like putting an egg wash. It's not my favorite, I'll just say that much. So what I do is I'm going to put a little sugar and a little cinnamon on top here to finish it off. I take a little dabble of water to kind of get that dough nice and moist so that it will hold on to those things, sort of like a binder. Not very much, just a little dabble of water. It'll help moisten that dough, and it'll help the sugar and the cinnamon stick to it. So Just take a nice pinch of sugar and we're just dusting it. Just a little bit more. And here's where the end of that pie comes in. And then we'll throw a little bit of cinnamon on there to finish it off. Isn't that great? All right, we're gonna go ahead and get this in the smoker. Let's get outside. All right, so the pit is up to temp. We're gonna go ahead and get our apple pie in, and this should take about maybe about 2 hours, maybe less, we'll see. It's pretty hot, and it's about to start raining, so that's gonna fluctuate the temperature, but everything should be okay. I got plenty of pecan wood there on the fire, as you can see. So, all right, let's get it closed up. We'll see you back in a little bit. All right, so it started to rain. Temperature, I'm sure, has fluctuated a little bit, but looks like it's holding up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and check on the pie here. As soon as I get my camera straightened out, just don't want to drop it. Okay, let's see what we got. A little bit darker than I thought it would be at about 40 minutes, but it doesn't look too bad. It's not burning. So we'll go ahead and tuck it back in here, get this closed up, and we'll try to give it maybe another 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, well, the rain is really starting to come down now. It's been about another 50 minutes, so I think it's time to get the pie out. If I need to, I'll throw it in the oven, but I think we're done. So I'm going to run out, grab the pie. We'll come back in and wrap this up. Time for a taste test. All right, that didn't go so well. Holy crap. All right, but we got it inside. Wasn't expecting the rain so soon. Okay, everybody, my smoked apple pie is ready. Thank God. We had an ordeal with that rain today. You know, I got the fire going, I got the pit ready, and then just the heavens opened up and it hasn't stopped since. But, you know, if I can help it, I try not to let the rain stop me from doing what I do on the pit, or, you know, cooking outside. So I'm ready to dive into this. It looks incredible. I know a lot of people think, man, that's really dark. That's just the way it comes out when you smoke it on the pit like that. That smoke adds a lot of extra color to it. As you can see, that mound that we had, it really cooks down. All that butter, all that flour and sugar just kind of mixes in as it heats up. And I'm ready to try this. Thank God it's done. The rain outside was an ordeal, but we got it done. And I'm ready. Yeah, so with the exception of the smoking process, this is the way my mom would have made her apple pie. And I think she would be proud. It looks beautiful. That's my word, beautiful. It smells incredible too. So I'm excited to dive into this. And of course, with any good piece of apple pie, you need some vanilla ice cream. My favorite here is the Bluebell homemade vanilla ice cream. So I went and picked some up for this. And I guess it looks like I'm having apple pie for dinner with a little ice cream. Not a bad thing to happen. So, all right, let's get into it. I'm gonna cut a piece of this. I got a bowl, of course, because I'm having ice cream with it. So I think it'll go best in a nice flat bowl. Let's see, I'm going to start with this first. And I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. See if we can cut a nice piece. A crispy crust. Got some beautiful color to it. Oh yeah. Nice, look at that. Beautiful melt on the inside with all that filling. Nice and creamy. It's my favorite part right there. Look how brown that crust is down on the bottom. Nice and buttery and sweet from that sugar and those apples. Wow. And that smoke flavor. I just got a piece of the top there. That smoke flavor is killer. Little vanilla ice cream. Alright, let's give it a try. I don't want to waste any of this. Oh my God. That sugar on top has caramelized onto the pie crust with a little bit of smoky flavor to it. And that vanilla. Guys, you certainly got to try to make this. I think it could have baked a little bit longer. The apples are, most of the apples are soft, but there's a little bit of crisp to the ones in the center. But for the most part, came out exactly as I expected it. This is incredible. I don't know. Oh, I did get a piece here. And if you remember when I did the crust, I showed you guys how to do the little pinch all the way around. Look at that thick piece of crust right there. You just want to take that piece right there, a little bit of ice cream, put that on top. There's not a better flavor. Can't even speak. To me, there's no other better flavor than that. That's incredible. My dad's with me today. I docked it. Look at that. That's what we used to say when my dad would spill stuff on his shirt. His nickname was Doc. He always said he docked it. But yeah, so if you want to try this, definitely make it at home. It's only a few ingredients. And if you have a smoker or a pit outside, do it. Put it outside. Get some smoke on it. It's definitely worth it. Such an incredible flavor. Great dessert. Don't be fooled though. This is very unhealthy. So I wouldn't recommend eating it too often. But it's the best apple pie I've ever had. And in honor of my mom, I'm glad I got to make it today. So if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, share, comment. And I hope you will stick with me. I've got some new videos, video ideas planned for the future. Hopefully for the summer, definitely more. But yeah, I love doing this, guys. I keep telling you, not going anywhere. If you got any suggestions on what's next, let me know. All right. Peace. Love you. That's smoking.